David was a murderer. You could consider him a skilled one as at that. He had the blood of an innocent man on his hands, and he almost got away with it. So let us go back into history. 2 Samuel from chapter 11 and 12. This is the story between David, Bathsheba, and her husband Uriah, who was one of the men in his army. This is a story of betrayal. This is a story of affair, extramarital affair, and this is the story of a brutal honesty. It will be important to note that David is now a successful king and not a fugitive like we discussed in the last episode. Right? So from the first chapter, which is the chapter 11, it says that there was a woman known as Bathsheba who had her husband, who was Uriah, who was part of King David's army. And at that period, the kings usually go for war. But this time, David didn't go. David stayed back. And if you understand the reason why David stayed back, it was because there was a war some time back where he was injured by the opposing force. So his henchmen, his guys that were in the army with him said, you know what, you are the king. If anything happens to you, what are we going to do? From now, you are going to stay in the palace and then we will go and fight your battle. Right? So he stayed back. Now, Bathsheba was having a bit, and David, who was at the top of the palace roof, had the opportunity to see her naked. Right? So he asked, who is this woman that is so beautiful and naked like this? That sounded weird. And he said, oh, that's Bathsheba. She's the wife of Uriah, who is in your army. And you would think that it would just end there. Baba be going. He said they should bring her. And then when they brought her, he did something that was not pleasant in the eyes of the Lord. He had sex with her. And then after he had sex with her, he told her to go back home. Now, you have to remember that Uriah was not around this whole period. He was at the war front. Now, this should tell you something very important. You'll see that David had just a single look where he could have passed by with it. Oh, she's having a bit. Move on. But no, he didn't. And this led to a lot of things. But before we get there, let's proceed. So Uriah comes back home. But he doesn't go to his wife. He goes to David. And then David tries to trick Uriah, play the mind game. That, okay, since this woman is pregnant, rather than me claiming the child, let Uriah sleep with her. So if he finds out that she's pregnant, then what we are going to do is that we are just going to make a safe assumption that since he just slept with her, then the baby is most likely for him. I mean, she's not supposed to sleep with any other person. So if she's pregnant, the baby is for her husband that she sleeps with. That was the plan. At least that was supposed to be the plan. But because of Uriah's level of devotion and loyalty, Uriah said, how will he go and sleep with his wife when the people are fighting for the peace of the nation? So he slept at the palace gates. And when David heard again that, oh boy, you've not gone to your wife yet, he told the king that he can't go, that he can't be having sex with his wife when his people are fighting. And David said, okay, no problem. But yeah, now stay for the rest of the day and go back to the war front. Said, yes, sir. Yes, my lord. Yes, my king. He decided to go to the war front. David now did something interesting. David called Joab. When he called Joab, he now told Joab that, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to put Uriah in the front line of the battle, where the strongest men of the opposing force will always be, where the battle is fierce. I want you to put in there. And then when you put in there, I want you guys to retreat back. So leave him there. So no matter how strong he is, he can't fight the strongest opposing force alone. That shows that seclusion has a lot to do when you are fighting a battle. it's not always about the fact that you might be weak, but you are alone. So Joab did just that. When the battle was fierce, he told his guys to move back, and then Uriah got killed. So because Joab knows that if David hears that his people died in battle, he will be angry that what kind of strategy did they use? That's to tell you that before this incident, David was the kind of person that had very good strategy that minimized the loss of his people even when fighting war. So because he expected David to do that, he said, when you tell him that first, tell him that Uriah was part of the people that died. Maybe that would water him down, since that was the plan initially. So the servant did just that, and David said, you people should have been careful. Well, we usually lose people. So David just told the messenger that, you know what, tell Joab that he should be encouraged, right? You can never tell who will die in a battle. And that was how Uriah just died like that. So that's why I said that's why we call it a legal murder. Because it was a murder, but because it was on a battlefield, it was not his people that killed him, at least indirectly. So it's legal because people die on battlefield, but we still call it murder because it was an intentional act. It shouldn't have died in that sense. So when Bathsheba now heard that her husband has been killed, she mourned. And then when she had spent time mourning, because they usually have a period of mourning, David sent for her and at least he took responsibility for the action he had done, even though he had sinned against God and what he did wasn't pleasant. So when that happened, the Lord was not happy with David, so he sent his prophets. Now this is the prophet that could not stay in silence. He sent his prophets. Now you will see that there's a chain of cover up here because of one sin, because of one little act. And what was that one little act? He looked, he peeped. He could have looked and then looked away because it was an accident, obviously. But he looked and invited the temptation to his house and then slept with her. So that led to him having adultery because he had his wives. That led to the failed attempt to trick her husband, Uriah. And that also led to the cold-blooded murder that is considered legal of Uriah on the battlefield. So there was a spiral chain due to one simple action that would have been considered a mistake, an unconscious act, because you really can't control what your eyes will see in that sense because it was at the top of the roof. So the Lord wasn't pleasant with all of this at all, and he wasn't going to stay quiet. So he sent Nathan. And then what did Nathan do? Nathan came to him. Nathan told him a story. And David, because of his passion for the Lord, his passion for justice, Nathan said, there is actually a rich man and a poor man in the land. Now this rich man has a lot of lambs, he has a lot of cattle, very rich. But this poor man has just one lamb. Now this is what happened, King David. This rich man had visitors that were coming to his side. They were coming to see him. So he wanted to prepare a feast for them. But he didn't want to touch any of his cattle or his lambs. So what he did was that he took the one lamb owned by the poor man and he slew it and served it to his guests. And with such anger, David jumps up and says, who is this rich man? I am going to kill him for his unjust act. And then he enters the trap that Nathan actually sets for him. And Nathan says, you are that man. The Lord has given you plenty riches. He has given you the kingdom of Saul. He has given you his wives. He has given you plenty children. You have gold. You have tributes. And then you go to take the wife of a man, Uriah. And immediately, David broke down in tears. Now, this is the entry point to the psalm after this story. Because there's a psalm and there's a story behind the psalm. But I won't tell you the psalm. I want you to be able to guess the psalm. You can do a little bit of research if you want to. Which psalm do you think this story paints? The story between David, Nathan, Bathsheba, and Uriah. Which psalm do you think paints that story? But I want you to take something as we round up for today, that there is a success trap in this story. From our previous episode, we looked at David as a fugitive, and we would recall other stories where David was in exile because of what was happening between him and Saul. But now, David is a successful king and is well grounded. But when the battle was supposed to be happening and he was supposed to be on the battlefield, he remained in Jerusalem. So we can deduce that temptation actually did not find David. David was not tempted because he was busy or he was struggling. David was tempted because he was comfortable and bored. So we can say that, and that's why you would hear statements such as, "An idle mind is the devil's workshop." You can't be tempted by a naked woman when you're on the battlefield. What's a woman even doing on the battlefield in the first place, at least as at that time? So where's the opportunity to see a woman, talk less of seeing her naked? So we can see that most times as individuals, we can often mess up, not because we are at our worst, but because we think we have finally made it. So it's what you call a success trap or a success syndrome. You think you've made it and you begin to go on a decline. At first, you become stagnant for a while. You're not really doing anything because your mind is, I have made it. Then you start going on a decline, So look forward to the review of the psalm after this story. I will expect your answer in the comments. Bye.